Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 2 Deadline stream, and it's live. My name's James, and over the next 57 minutes or so, I'm going to try and get through as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of the 11 a.m. Gameweek 2 deadline. Before we get into the questions, I'd recommend everyone has a quick look at the graphics. Let me take you through them quickly. So to the left of me on screen, you will see my correct score predictions for all 10 games this weekend. To the right of me at the top, you will see my team for the game week as it stands. It's not going to change, to be honest. I've rolled a transfer. Haaland captain. I'm Ramsdale, Trent, Cash, Trippier, Cancelo, Robertson, Luis Diaz, Heung-min Son, Martinelli. Haaland captain, Gabriel Jesus on the bench, Ward, Andreas Pereira, Da Silva, and Cameron Archer. I explained in detail on yesterday's stream why Sonny is staying for me for the moment. It's probably because I want to stick the armband on him next week, to be honest. Below my team, you'll see my top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference for this game week. It's really an A or B this week, isn't it? Haaland or Salah. Those are your choices. If you really want to differentiate or you haven't got either of them, De Bruyne, Cancelo preferred. Or if you really want to go rogue, I don't mind Jared Bowen as a punt for this week. But really, it's Haaland or Salah, isn't it? Let's be very honest. I did a poll on Twitter on Wednesday. 77% of responders said they were going for Haaland. So it's going to be big, but it'll probably both be over 100 EO. Those who just can't take the armband off Mo Salah, that's absolutely fine. Crack on. Right at the very bottom of the screen, on the grey ticker that's rolling across the screen, you'll see everybody's next 5 fixtures. The difficulty rating is taken from FPL, so you don't have to necessarily agree with that. And also, right directly below me, you'll see the benching dilemmas screen where there are 2 players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option of those 2. I will take you through them now because I know there's going to be loads of Leon Bailey questions and I'd rather just put them in the bin now, to be honest. James over Neto, Neto over Bailey, Bailey over Gross, Gross over White is your page 1. These all run in order from page 1 to 4 and there's keepers on page 5. Page 2, White over Dunk, Dunk over 8 Nori, 8 Nori over Andreas Pereira over Dallo. Page 3, Dallo over Castagne, Castagne over Solanke, Solanke over Dewsbury Hall, Dewsbury Hall over Share. Page 4, Share over Perisic. I can't see he's going to start, guys. I'd be very, very surprised. Perisic over Nico Williams, Nico Williams over Patterson, Patterson over Da Silva. I also don't think will start. And finally, your goalkeepers, Mendy / Ramsdale over Sanchez, over Areola, over Raya, over Danny Ward. Those are your benching dilemmas screens for you for this week. That will keep rotating as the stream goes on for you. Right, I think that's it, basically. Let's get into the questions. Who's first? It's Holostamos. Good morning, my friend. Praise says, good morning, James. How's the week been? Have both Salah and Haaland. Who would you captain? Haaland's the preference. It's easy for me to say as I don't own Mo Salah, but generally I think if we got Erling Haaland and Bournemouth at home, we're not thinking of taking advantage of that. That's my opinion. But look, Mo's got a good fixture as well. I think Liverpool will find Palace tough on Monday night, which is a little influence as well on the fixture. It's Haaland, isn't it? Matthew says, hi James, play James or Cash? I don't have Matty Cash on the bench in dilemmas, to be fair. But Reece James I just wouldn't leave him out, I don't think. Man City away or Liverpool away, maybe. Otherwise, I just would always play him. Yes, we think there's a chance he'll play at right-sided centre-back. He can still be on a few set pieces and stuff. I would play Reece James, personally. Fantasy Billy says, Core, it's a bit toasty today, ain't it? Stay safe and keep hydrated, lads. Yeah, good advice to everybody there from Bill, particularly from the UK, anywhere in Europe. I don't know about the rest of the world so much, but yeah, keep drinking water, guys. It's going to be a hot weekend. FPL Iron says, morning, James. Have a good game week too. You too, my friend. Do me a favour, DM me later today. I've got an offer on for you. It's Raw12G says, morning, James. Nick Pope question. Yeah, the answer is always Nick Pope. I saw some rumour going around that Nick Pope was actually a doubt to start, but I don't know if this was just part of the comedy that people were just adding to the hijacking of the Burger King tweet yesterday. Divesh says, Bailey or James to start. Reach James. Emily says, Sony, hey, James, would you take a -4 for either of these moves? Bailey to Grealish, if you think Bailey won't start, or Dallo to Walker. Nah, not overly keen on either, to be totally honest with you there, Emily. I think Bailey will start. there is an element of doubt in that, but I think my view on it was always, look, if you're starting with Bailey from game week 1, give it the first 2 game weeks, reassess afterwards. And just think of it like this. Like, if you leave him on the bench today, you're going to be sick. Now, I know a few of you have got really solid back fives and stuff, and he's probably the right solution to bench, for example. Like, I've got him behind Neto, James. I'd probably have him behind Matty Cash as well, for example. And probably Kieran Trippier as well, another one to throw into that. But in nearly all the cases, going to be start him, I think, is my advice. And it'll be what it'll be. He tore Villa apart as a substitute last year in the corresponding fixture. So I'd leave him in, Emily. That would be my advice. Play Bailey. I love this question from Obiziri. Salah worth the gamble? I mean, Mo Salah. Is Mo Salah worth a gamble? I'm going to assume and give you some cred that you're potentially saying, should I captain him? Well, it's up to you. To be honest, no one needs my advice whether they should captain Haaland or Salah, surely. It's up to you. Greg Simpson says, morning, James. Hope you're well. I transferred Trossard in for Thiago last week in Sky. First season playing Sky. What should I do with Trossard? Play him today and see how you feel afterwards. Simple as that, mate. If there's no one to go to that you like tomorrow or Monday, keep him for a little bit. He's got potential, Leandro. Joe Burns says, have you watched Better Call Saul? No. James Nelson says, hi, James. Good luck this week and thanks for the content. Who is your best Trippier replacement from next week? Already triple Arsenal with 0.5 in the bank. I don't know. I'm hoping the answer is going to be one of the Tottenham boys. That's what I'm hoping, but I don't know the answer yet. CM Punk 2310 says, whom would you choose between Salah and KDB for captaincy? Also, your top 5 WWE wrestlers of all time. And that's a far more interesting second question than first. Favourite wrestlers of all time. Undertaker, HBK would be the top 2 by a distance. We got to put The Rock in there, really, haven't we? I'm trying to think of my younger years who I really liked. I'll throw AJ Styles in there as a modern one, actually. I used to watch TNA just to watch AJ Styles, actually. So I'm going to throw him in. Great wrestler. Stone Cold. I'll be boring. Jonathan Comber says, a non-FPL question to mix it for you, James. Best individual performance you've seen live. 1 Spurs, 1 non-Spurs. 1 Spurs. The obvious one is Gareth Bale against Inter Milan. The second time, by the way, not the hat-trick in the San Siro, the return at White Hart Lane. I've probably got to say that, haven't I? Non-Spurs. I think the players against us. Paul Scholes made me stop one game and just watch him. I've explained this before. Non-Spurs, greatest of all time. Most Messi games between about 2008 and 15. Do you know what? I'm going to say, actually, Messi against Tottenham at Wembley. There you go. That's an easy one for you. Colin Con says, play Coutinho, maybe bench, or play Andreas. I go with Coutinho. It's the same things with Bailey. I suspect Coutinho might not start, but if he does, you're probably going to be gutted. Just a dad posting stuff says, morning, James. Keith does gaming says, hi all. Owen Walsh says, good morning, sir. Small sub dilemma. Any argument for Dewsbury Hall over Trippier? For me, no. GP says, worth selling James for Diaz or for Walker and have more cash for next week's move? No, I'd keep. Is everyone shitting themselves about Tottenham? Like, I'm pleased that everyone's shitting themselves about Tottenham, but that's the reality. The people thinking of moving Reece James are shitting themselves about Tottenham. Chelsea's historical against us is so good. I wouldn't have any doubt about playing Reece James if I owned. Keith does gaming. Should I keep Saka, or if not, who good replacement? Yeah, keep. Oscar Saunders, best Brighton defender for game week 4. So they come into a nice little run, don't they? Leeds at home, Fulham away, Leicester at home, Bournemouth away, Palace at home. Yeah, it's a good run. Lewis Dunk would be preferred. Nailed, threat from set pieces. Alistair Coper says, hey mate, can you remember a more boring week ever in FPL considering almost everyone is rolling their transfer and absolutely nothing came out in team news yesterday? Alistair, like most people are absolutely making a transfer to buy Erling Haaland this week. And as you'll see, most people are making transfers. So most people rolling, your small community might be, our small community might be quite a bit, but no, most people are making transfers. Yesterday with the team news, I must confess, the team news afterwards was, there's nothing here actually. It's we shouldn't complain about that. Last Friday with the Perisic Doherty stuff was a bit of chaos, wasn't it? So I don't need that every week. Adam says, I know you don't watch much content from others as you make so much yourself, but if you had to say who would be your fave FPL content creator, I'm going Late Riser. I presume that LR is Late Riser. Yeah, the Wire Boys would be right up there. Love them. Who got the assist? Love Mark and Az, obviously, on Black Box. The problem is, every single time I start answering this, it's like, oh my God, you left them out. There are hundreds of extremely good FPL content creators. I'd say the ones I tend to watch the most is Black Box, because it's a nice one for me to stick on the background on the TV late at night from doing some research or something. So I will say, and obviously Mark's one of our correspondents now, so I really should say that, shouldn't I? Hadi Diallo says Alvarez or Mbumo. I'm going to say Mbumo at the moment. CM Punk says, do you think Conte will try and play on the front foot tomorrow? As a Chelsea fan, I'm shitting bricks regardless. I love that you're shitting bricks. No, we'll play very defensive, mate. Is my opinion. Very defensive doesn't mean we can't go and score a few goals, right? But without the ball, I don't think we're going to go and pressure you or anything like that. I'd be really surprised. We'll sit off and do our thing when we've got it. Ragav says, Haaland already in for Kane. Should I go for Son to KDB for -4? Thinking hit at this stage is alright with bigger upside. Ragav, I'll explain what I explained yesterday in terms of that's the move I've been debating all week for free and have decided not to do it. So I've looked at it as judging over the next 5 game weeks, KDB for 5 versus Son effective for 7, because I will probably captain him twice. So if that's different for you and you don't think you're ever going to captain Son, then it's an easier call to obviously make that transfer. I'm looking at it going, it's probably 1 transfer to get rid, 2 to get him back. I'm going to have other problems next week, like Cash, Trippier. I might want to move on. Luis Diaz, possibly even. So for me, I think the stronger position right now is to roll. Keep Sonny. Do I think KDB scores more than Sonny this week? Like, obviously, it goes without saying, right? But the bigger picture over the next 5 might be that I'm better off keeping, and effective, I might have 2 more free transfers. So I'm sticking. If you're in a position where you think, oh, I'm not going to captain Son, I want to get rid of him, then it's an easier transfer move. So it depends a lot. And what other problems have you got in your team? If you're look ahead to next week and ask yourself, who are you captain next week? What potential problems have you got next week? If you go, oh, well, I've got Salah next week, I'm definitely captaining him at Man United, and I'm definitely not going to want to sell any of my players. They've all got good fixtures. It's a far easier move than it is for me. Adam says, whose ceiling is higher and who's better right now, Saka or Kulusevski? Try and be unbiased. I'm an Arsenal fan. As much as I love Saka, I go Kulusevski. To be honest, with the fixtures in the short term, the answer is Saka. So Saka's next 4, Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa, 3 at home. Kulusevski is Chelsea, Wolves, Forest, West Ham, 3 away. I mean, Saka, isn't it? To be totally honest, in the short term. Now, if I have to buy one next week, it's going to be Kulusevski, because I've already got 3 Arsenal. But I think just coming in from new right now is Saka. Jonathan Comber says, if Bernardo stays, do you think he can get back in the team and be an FPL asset again? Can he get back in the team? Of course, absolutely. Much will depend on this Barcelona speculation, I'm sure. But if he gets back in the team, he's liable to play a deeper role alongside Rodri. And from an FPL perspective, the answer would be no. Andy Ken says, happy Saturday, everyone. 6.8 million overall rank. The only way is up. Hopefully, there's no guarantee of that, Andy. Laser79 says, hi James, thanks for all the content. Wife and I really enjoy tuning in every week. I need to bring you some Spurs coverage next week for Trippier. Any recommendations up the Saints? We'll certainly talk about it, particularly on Monday's podcast. Obviously, off the back of Chelsea, I'll have a clearer indication of what I think Conte will do next week. If Sessegnon performs really well again tomorrow, then there's every chance he stays in and is, 4.5? I note Doherty dropped to 4.9 overnight. The thing is, Emerson and Sessegnon were really good against Southampton, is the point. So let's see tomorrow if that influences things. If we have a bad result tomorrow, Conte's liable to want to chop it up. If we go there and win, and Sessegnon and Emerson play really well, I don't think he changes it. So can't really answer that right now. Adam Keener says, hi James, where would you put Cucurella on your benching dilemmas compared to Andreas and Dewsbury Hall? Good question. I think there's a good chance that he starts. In relation to Andreas and Dewsbury Hall, I think I'd pick him. I'd probably take the chance, to be honest. I think he might play wing back tomorrow. And I think with him, he's not a player I overly expect for attacking returns. Most people think Tottenham will score. But if Chelsea kick a clean sheet, he could be in and around the bonus. Very much so. We know that from his Brighton performances. So I think I'd pick him. I'd probably take a chance. If you don't feel strongly about that, i.e. particularly if you think Chilwell's going to play again, for example, or if you think Chilwell's going to play and Reece James is going to play centre-back, I can't see Cucurella starting. So it depends on your take on it. Personally, I think I'd probably pick him over the others. Pranav says, which fixture swings are you keeping an eye on for wildcard? The Pretenders swing, around about sort of game week 7, 8 for Leicester, Newcastle, West Ham, Villa, but I don't know if I'm going to be brave enough to do anything about it. There aren't brilliant swings from good team to another good team. It just doesn't work that way this season. Last year we had a few. Chelsea game week 8, Man United game week 14. It just doesn't exist. When the good teams have good fixtures, so do the others. And when they have bad fixtures, they all seem to have bad fixtures. So from a fixture swing, how brave are you to like steam into the likes of Maddison, Bowen, Wilson's, if Newcastle buy an attacking midfielder before the window closes, how brave are you to steam into those guys around about sort of game week 7, 8? I don't know. I can't answer that right now. Chris Jaga says, hello, young man. Thanks. Appreciated. What do you think of Aronson? He passed the eye test for me big time. Yeah. Talent. I'd be a little bit concerned at the moment in terms of where he might play. I still need more information because we've obviously got Dan James, who Jesse Marsh has said will be a substitute, coming back from suspension today, and we've got Sinisterra's back from injury, will be in the squad. I assume will also be a sub. And what the impact of that is in a couple of weeks, we don't quite know yet. So for me, watching brief, next 3, Southampton away, Chelsea and Brighton away. Don't make me want to dive in. Like, if you've got, great, crack on. I wouldn't be looking to move him on. I wouldn't be looking to buy him at the moment either. Hadi Diallo, if I see your question again, it's permanent mute, mate. Sorry, pal. Patrick Lawson says, morning, James. Which 2 would you play out of Cash, Zinchenko, Almiron, Andreas Pereira? Top 2, mate. First 2, the defensive players. TW, you think Robbo Trent outscored Diaz over season? Why not have them captain above Diaz? Good question. I think Liverpool might concede. I think, to be honest, Trent and Diaz is a little bit of a toss-up. I don't think it's going to matter who my vice-captain is because I'm pretty sure Haaland's going to play. My thought process was just stick it on a Liverpool player just in case they decide to abandon the game today because it's too hot. Something ridiculous. Let's be honest. Haaland is 100% going to start. Who my vice-captain is absolutely irrelevant. That's why I've got it on a Liverpool player rather than Cancelo, for example. But it doesn't matter, does it? Haaland's going to play. Joe Knight says Darwin and James or Robertson and Jesus. For me, the Robertson option at the moment, mate. FPL Red, any interest in Brentford assets for their nice fixtures? It's probably going to be a no. If I was wildcarding, I would, yeah. Great run from game week 3. Tony would be the one. I'd want to pay the extra for at the moment. Raya in goal is of interest, but unless Ramsdale got injured, I'm not moving Ramsdale with Arsenal's fixtures. So it's probably going to be a no. I would say Tom Med's coming on Clash of the Correspondents prior to the game week 4 fixture with Everton. So we'll speak more about it with him, no doubt. Sanic says, would you take Poch or Potter at Spurs when Conte leaves? Antonio Conte is going to sign a new 20-year contract, haven't you heard, mate? I don't think that Maurizio Pochettino coming back to Tottenham at the moment is the right thing. I really, really strongly believe that, and I love him. I love him, but properly love him. But I don't think, and I think to follow Conte would not be good for him. So, honestly, preference, if that was to happen, would be Potter. Hasselbank's win. Do Tottenham need to win on Sunday to be taken seriously in the title race? Nah, not at all. I mean, Liverpool drew twice with Chelsea last year and were very much in a title race. So, I think there's a danger that if Tottenham win that people treat us too seriously. The reality is Tottenham are only going to challenge for this league title with Liverpool or Man City lower standards. That's it. Tottenham aren't going to get to like 95 points or something. So the only way we're involved is if Liverpool and Man City lower standards. So we got to focus on ourselves. I don't think it's realistic to think Tottenham will be in the title race. I think it's realistic to think that we will get closer this year. But at the moment, no more than that. We're off the back of beating Southampton. It's essentially right now, it's the same team that finished last season, just with a stronger squad, which is very helpful, don't get me wrong. So can they push to Liverpool City? At the moment, being honest, it's doubtful, isn't it, right? And I do think, like, say if like should just predict Tottenham to win 3-1 tomorrow, I think he's on drugs personally. But if we do go and win 3-1 and perform really well, like, people are going to go over the top, and people should calm down. Stian says, anyone you'd not go without on a free hit? I've panicked, so got to do it now. Jesus, Stian, you are a different kind of beast. Anyone you'd not go without? I don't really know how to answer that, my friend. Anyone I'd not go without? Well, I can only pick 11 starting players, mate. So for me, it would be Haaland, De Bruyne, Cancelo. Definitely them in. I'd arguably punt against Salah. I'd probably go treble Arsenal. I don't really know how to answer that question, mate. Lee J. Fraser says, morning, James. Connor, Ben, or Eubank Jr.? Wouldn't have a clue, but back in the day, I'd have supported Eubank, so Eubank. Ketan says, Perisic or Pereira for this week, James? As in start, Andreas Pereira for me, mate. Unfortunately, I'd be very surprised if Perisic starts. Not to say he can't, I'd just be very surprised. Alistair Hargreaves says, no transfer for me this game week. Enjoying the content, stay safe and good luck this game week. Thank you. Manchester United says, James, Neto or Zinchenko, Mitrovic. Reece James option. FPL Deadline 88 says, good afternoon, James. I'm benching Kulusevski over Bailey. I wouldn't advise that. Lee J. Fraser says, is Haaland triple captain potential if he costs you -4 to get him in? No, that's irrelevant. Treat the chip as a standalone, not how many hits you took to get the player in. Man City's best possible double game week later in the season is Fulham away and Bournemouth away. So you might be able to triple captain him in the double game week with Bournemouth later in the season. The answer's no. Craig Gardner says, bench Trippier or Bailey? This is a close one. I think that the security of a Trippier start and the potential of a return, even in a defeat, means I would want to lean to Trippier. So I said right at the start, there are a couple, I think, sort of James, Trippier, Neto are the three where I'd make a strong case to play them over Bailey. Close, though. Adam says, non-FPL related, but since you worked at a bookies, what was the worst thing you ever saw or experienced, if you don't mind revealing? Christ. The worst thing I ever saw was trying to look after a good 80 plus members of staff when the London riots were going on. Was horrendous. Honestly, I'd say I put it up there with near enough the worst couple of days of my life, actually. Having responsibility to try and keep these people safe, and people were telling me you can't close shops and stuff, was horrendous. Asim Nunes says, hey James, do you think it's worth to use the free transfer to get Foden or Mount? Foden for Mount? No, I've said this a few times yesterday as well. Like, if you bought Mason Mount, you went for what? Consistency? You're disappointed because you didn't get a haul against Everton? I'd stay with Mason Mount for a minute. Dragon says, hiya James, love the Barcelona Finances episode, cheers. Have you followed the latest developments? They managed to register the majority of signings. LT implications remain to be seen. Have a great weekend. I don't know what LT stands for, sorry mate. Yes, I'm aware they've registered everyone except Jules Koundé, who I think's a bit behind with fitness. That's why they've made that decision. They'll find the money, they'll register him as well, they'll get Marcos Alonso. They're going to make it happen. They've doped football to do so, and I don't care if anyone disagrees with that. FPL Planner says, hi James, no question for me, just wanted to say thanks for the content as always, good luck this game week, cheers pal. Tony Oliver says, morning James, who would you play at, a Neto, Reece James or Grealish? I'm leaning towards Neto. This headache comes from game week 1 bench boost. That if you own Jack Grealish, you play him, right? If you own Reece James, I'd pick him over Neto. It's right at the top of the bench in dilemmas, mate. Roman fan says, thoughts on doing the hokey cokey with Kane back in and Haaland out next week? So this is very similar to the Son KDB situation. Slightly different because you're probably going Haaland right now to captain him, whereas perhaps those going for KDB are not. So there's a stronger case for doing that. But again, consider the rest of your team. What do you want to do with captaincy next week? What's the impact for game week 3 if you make the move now? Personally, in that one, I would say, yeah, do it. Andras says, play Cash or Bailey. For me, Cash. Joe Singh, WWE. No Bret Hart, no Macho Man. Now, I wasn't big on Bret Hart. He's a great wrestler, but I just disliked him. Dull as in terms of his character and stuff, his personality. He was better when he was a heel. Macho Man, oh yeah, no, not really. I wouldn't put him in the top 5. Also did some things which, yeah, we can go down a rabbit hole with that. Andres says, hi James, Grealish of Foden, enjoy the weekend. If I was buying right now, probably Foden. Joe Milkshake says, Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero were always my favourites. Seed says, good day from Australia, James. What the bloody hell should I do with Ivan? Found him hidden in the back when the lights came on game week 1. I think it's sell, mate. I think it's sell. If you have no other fires in your team, there's a case to just leave it this week. And you might be lucky and he might get back in next week. But unless he starts tomorrow, he's going to drop in value. I wouldn't be surprised if he drops in value tonight, actually. I don't actually know what the price changes were last night, to be honest. He's probably move. Because as I said, I think Tottenham play well tomorrow and Sessegnon plays well. I think he'll keep the shirt at the moment. Ivan Perisic is a season-long decision for Tottenham. It's not a rusher to get him in. That's how it looks now. Jeff Holt says, thanks for answering my random questions yesterday, mate. Totally agree in relation to Kenilworth Road. Weird but special as a home fan. Best wishes, mate. Shout out to the chattering Harry. My wife said it was adorable. Cheers, mate. Noah says, hey, James, we are. Spurs will win about 3 or 4-0. Listen, mate, if we win 3 or 4-0 tomorrow, you can expect one hell of a hangover for Monday's podcast. Fred says, Pereira or Perisic? They're on the bench in dilemmas, mate. It will swing round for you. The answer is Pereira. FPL the good boy says everyone should love Rey Mysterio and everyone should like the stream as well. Brett W says, hey mate, want to transfer out Perisic even if only for a week. Would you transfer Walker, Aki or Trippier? Not if it's just for a week. There's a case for Trippier. Any longer, no. Man City next week for Newcastle. Right now, probably Aki from that. Arguably take a chance. Wondon says, wildcard next game we could take a -8. How in the world can I answer that, mate, when I have no idea what your team looks like? Where do I begin? P. Macker says, rolling a transfer, James, mate, up the toffees. Good luck this weekend, mate. Keith Does Gaming says, okay, thanks. I made one change. Perisic to Zinchenko. Good choice. You've made it. I'm not interested in dealing with afterthoughts. You made the decision. Why did you make it? Presumably you liked it. There you go. Good luck. Cam since 86. Hello from New Zealand. Love the content. Thanks. First live show I've managed to catch. Planet FPL is top of the stack, mate. Cheers, buddy. Good luck to you down under, mate. Your social media assistant, Darren Ball, says, why is Mount such an FPL fraud? I don't know. Send him an email. Ross Johnson says, James, I played my wildcard on Thursday night. Wanted to beat price rises. You should have done it last Friday then. Tell me I'm a maverick. Don't tell me I'm an idiot. Thanks for the reply to the DM in a week, pal. Top man. You're a maverick, Ross. Dimitar Jordanov, Haaland, Jesus, Darwin, okay, wildcard on. It's interesting. We spoke about this on FPL Juice on Tuesday. That, yeah, I mean, that could be a go-to front three, but it's heavy, isn't it? You can look at it, it's amazing. Particularly, obviously, once Darwin gets in the Liverpool team. But it's got to be sacrifices somewhere else. And what happens when you lose one, inevitably, to an injury or something? You changing the structure again? It needs some more thought, I think, for me. But I have seen a few people wildcarding with all three this week, and that's fair. It's a reasonable way to go. You just need to be aware you might want to escape from it. Noah says, I'm expecting Spurs to absolutely murder Chelsea on the counter, to be honest. Genuinely tempted to bench James for Andreas. That's crazy, right? Listen, nothing's crazy. If that's how you feel, do it. Like I'm saying I wouldn't bench Reece James. If you generally believe Tottenham are going to destroy Chelsea and you think Andreas can get something at Wolves, play him. That's it, isn't it? It's your opinion versus my opinion. My opinion would be I'll play Reece James, and history tells me that Tottenham never destroy Chelsea, particularly at Stamford Bridge. And I wouldn't be unhappy with a draw tomorrow, right? A draw's a good result away to Chelsea. FPL Dogboy88 says Kulusevski is better value than Son. Maybe he is. Thanks for sharing. You should start a YouTube channel. Dave Wilshire says, morning, thoughts on playing Andreas instead of Trippier? That's a no for me. Stephen Moore, hi James, see you've gone Trippier over Andreas. Was it close in your mind? 50-50 for me at the moment. Not really. And I've actually predicted Newcastle to lose 1-0. But still, no, not really. It's the upside, the possibility. Yes, Andreas can get me a return. Likely to haul? No, but this time next week when Andreas got Brentford at home, Trippier's got Newcastle. If I've not made a transfer, then yeah, I would pick Pereira over him. So it's not to discount him. And there is a danger we can discount him because of his price. He's the 4.5. I'll bench him. Look, he looks a super prospect. But honestly, we're feeling Trippier away to Brighton. Why did we start with him? That's generally where I'd be at. Callum says, thank you Noah, by the way. Callum says, is it true Perisic has been spotted on holiday in Croatia? No, I've not heard anything about that, mate. Ryan Renfrey, hi James, thanks for the content this week. As always, are you thinking of replacing Cash or Trips for next week? Thanks. Yeah, I mean, one option is that. I just play Pereira over Trippier next week. Yeah, Matty Cash is, if Villa do badly today, is on the chopping block. Not so much if they do well, he's price conscious. And yes, Tottenham is the first target in my mind, but I can't tell you which one at the moment. I have 0.5 in the bank, so it could be Cash to Perisic for me. I'm open to options. It could be Cash to Sessignon, and Trippier. Was that give me $1 million? Trippier up to Reece James. It's very possible that that's how I line up this time next week, and that's the sort of thing again why at the moment Sun stayed for me. Peter Maher says, would you transfer Perisic for an Arsenal defender? We'll start Pereira and roll the transfer. I think getting on Arsenal defensive if you've not got is the right thing to do personally with what they've got to come. Mr. Dyer says, how are you, James? Do I play Paris Search or Andreas Pereira? Paris Search, that's an interesting autocorrect, isn't it? I presume it's Perisic. I'd go Pereira. I don't think Perisic will start. Dimitar Jordanov, Haaland, Jesus, Darwin. I've already had that one, mate. If I see it again, you know what it means. It's a permanent mute. Svirana, sorry if I mispronounced that, mate. Good morning, James. Is Kane, Robbo to Darwin, Nunes, Walker for a hit? Already got Haaland. Does Nunes start according to you? I think Firmino start again. That's not to discount what Nunes can do. We saw what he did as a substitute the other night, right? But what I explain is if Nunes is a sub again, let's say he's coming on this time and Liverpool winning 2-0 or 3-0 already, circumstance is different, isn't it? So, not for me at the moment. If you truly believe it, I know a lot are getting behind him as an option. Obviously, he's gone up in price this week. Fine. Bring Cole Walker in as part of a hit. Nah. I'm not quite sure how that works as well. Kane and Robertson to Darwin Nunes and Cole Walker. You're leaving about, what, 4 or 5 million in the bank as well? Surely you can go up to Cancelo if you're doing it that way, if you don't have. Anita says, start 2 out of Dyer, Patterson, Dewsbury Hall. Ooh, interesting one. Dewsbury Hall over Patterson. Yeah, I'd probably still go Eric Dyer, I think, yeah. FPL Dubois says, Haaland, Jesus, Darwin's in my current attacker. Florentine P. Hi, James, do you think Martinez will start in the middle for Manchester United? He might, although I did note there was some rumour circulating about Rafael Varane coming into the team. And I wonder if that's with Ivan Toney in mind, because I've spoken about it as a big problem. Actually, if Varane does play instead of Martinez, I actually think United have got a better chance today because of that. Brentford will be unapologetic in playing diagonals towards Toney and feeding off second balls. Cheers, Rob Pick, for sharing that with me, mate. Much appreciated. Might have some Villa news for you. It's probably one that doesn't matter to most of you. You might do if you've gone for one of the centre-backs. David Ornstein of The Athletic is reporting that Tyrone Mings is set to start for Aston Villa. Just going to see if there's... Oh, come on, Twitter. If there's any more potential information on that. So David Ornstein's reporting Tyrone Mings is going to play alongside Diego Carlos ahead of Ezri Konsa. So if you have got Konsa, that won't be many of you. I'd bear that in mind. I'm just reading through the article to see if there's anything potentially more on the likes of Leon Bailey. That's a no. No. And it's not obviously confirmed, but David Ornstein is probably the best journalist in the UK at the moment. And he's reporting that Tyrone Mings is expected, and he has said expected to start. Cheers, Rob Pick, for that. Paul H says, hi, James. Just want to wish you good luck for the game week. Thanks very much, mate. And to you too. Wasif Ibrahim says, hello, mate. I'm currently on Sterling. If he blanks against Spurs, should I consider selling him before Leeds, Southampton and Leicester? See how you feel after the game. It's the best advice I can give you. Antonio Rogers says, would you transfer in Cancelo for Robertson? Have Walker and Haaland already? No. I probably wouldn't, to be honest. John Cahill says, morning, James, mate. Done a -4 to bring in Haaland and Saka for Son and Wilson. Best of luck for the game. I hope Sonny doesn't punish me. With all due respect, John, I hope he does, but I wish you well for the rest of your game week. Well, Dimitar Jordanov. Hi, mate. My DMs are open all the time, mate, but this YouTube chat isn't for you anymore, I'm afraid. You were warned. Meninda Prihar says, Sky question, got Perisic and Thiago as problems and no Spurs attacking captain option for tomorrow. Any ideas? Got Paulinho already. Consider moving Perisic to Romero if you haven't got Meninda. You're going to put 0.6 in the bank for you. Thiago's probably got to go, so you've got Paulinho already. Yeah, another way of doing that's obviously come down to someone else like Paulinho's price and then get Perisic up to Koulibaly. It's a different way of doing it, possibly. I'm not intending to do the Sky Fantasy Haaland to Kane and back again. I'm just going to leave it, he says. Joe Finney Badder says, morning, mate. No question, just trying to imagine my team not being top of the league. Yeah, Joe's referring to Watford. Nice win last night against the Clarets from Burnley. Dixie Normaz says, good morning, James. What will I do with Doherty? He's gone down in price. He's 0.5 owned. That I don't understand. Sell or keep? Cheers. I think, look, the price has gone. So if you don't need him this week, i.e. you've got people like Andreas Pereira to play, it might be worthwhile just benching him at the moment. I would be extremely surprised if Doherty started tomorrow. My feelings, even when I thought Doherty would start game week 1, was that Emerson would play against Chelsea. So it depends on your bench. If you've got no good cover, bin him, mate. Shin Sakai says, morning, James. I guess I'm the only one with triple Villa. Now I have to bench one from Cash, Bailey, Watkins. Well, you don't have to bench from one of them. If you have to, it would be Matty Cash for me would be the one that goes. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep an eye on a few potential news sources for potential Villa news. Thank you as well, Danny McDonald. Cheers, mate. Tanzid says Tripp versus Pereira. We've done this one. Merwan says Bailey or Pereira. We've done this one. Deepak says, morning, mate. What do you think of Aston Villa defence? I'm on Martinez as keeper. I think I'd be looking to move it on after this week, but it's absolutely fine this week. You don't want to fuck about your keeper though. Martinez can stay, right? But what's your confidence in them? Janegas77 says, starting Kulusevski, would you play Trippier over James in that case? I see what you're saying. Yeah, all-in strategy. Again, I think it's one, if you truly believe Tottenham are going to do Chelsea over, personally, the consistency of both, I'd be liable to sit in the middle. But I get that. It's a very fair question. If that makes you want to go in the all-in strategy, it does potentially make sense to go with Trippier. I can see that. Driss says, hey, good luck for the season. What do you think about getting Walker for Perisic? Might want to reverse it if Perisic starts afterwards, though. I'd rather Aki. I'm just not having this Kyle Walker as much of an option, right? He's 6.6 points. And it's always going to be. Aki at least gives you the threat from set pieces and stuff. It's not to say Kyle Walker can't ever get attacking returns. Of course he can. But the chance that he's not. He's not. You just pick the outfield Ederson, basically. You might as well just go for Ederson in goal, would be my take. If it's insistence of I've got to have a third City player. So I'd rather you went Aki if you want to do that. Perisic has said probably could go down price tonight, I guess. I'm sure he didn't go down in price last night. I really have no idea what the price changes were. I'm just going to have a quick check through them because I don't like the fact that I'm out of knowledge on this, which is really fucking lazy of me. Price falls last night. Alvarez, Varane, Fernandes, Lewis, Awoniyi, Doherty, Cedric Holding, Tomiyasu, Morpay, Hudson-Odoi, Godfrey, Cody, Wilson, Harvey Barnes, Bernardo Silva, 6.9. Why do I think Bernardo Silva was 7.5 yesterday? Down to 6.9. I would move Perisic on. That's what I've told Serge earlier this week. So FPL Boy 88 says Bailey should have walk in the park against Everton. They are shambles away from home. Last season Bailey came for sub and score against Everton. Everton won at Leicester late in the season. They drew at Watford. These games mattered for them late in the season. Romanford says, cheers for the answer, James. Good luck all. Dave Lister says, good morning, James. Thanks for the good content. Appreciate it, mate. Smash a like, everyone. Hit the sub button. You helped us get the 10k during the stream last week. It was much appreciated. Dan Sheffield says Bailey, Podence, Trippier or James. Pick two. James and Trippier for me. Dan Sheffield, thanks for the content. Good luck. You're very welcome, you too, Dan. God, FPL Dogboy is prolific, isn't he? I don't think Kulusevski can do anything versus Koulibaly, Chilwell. They are different levels compared to Salisu, Gineppo. Let's do questions, mate. Cheers. Tony Oliver says, hey, James again. Do you think Neto has a much better fixture than Reece James? Do I not think? Yeah, of course I do. I'd throw that back to you and say, do you not think that Reece James is a much better FPL asset than Pedro Neto? There you go. Torbjorn says, chasing the upside, move Kulusevski out for Foden. Good luck, good man, and to you too. Teddy says, hi James, Perisic out for Pereira, Leicester or Castagne? I presume you mean Pereira Fulham, mate, and that's a typo because Ricardo Pereira Leicester's out for possibly the whole season. Castagne, it's not the right week to go Castagne. And actually looking ahead now, you've missed a return. He's got Southampton at home next week. Then it's Chelsea, Man United, Brighton away, Villa at home, Tottenham away. They come into a tough run. Wouldn't be my choice now. Would have been my game week 1 choice. So no, it wouldn't be Leicester at the moment. Cyrus Bernard says, hi James, why you think Brentford beat United? Because I think United are fucking awful, mate. And I'm disappointed in myself for bottling it last week when we spoke so much saying that there's every chance Brighton could go to Man United and win. And then we went, oh, I think United will win actually. We bottled it. We bottled it because it was Man United. If Martinez plays and Brentford go direct to Tony and Brentford get second balls off that, I don't think they'll be able to deal with it, to be honest with you. And Brentford away, as we saw, was a tough game for the best teams last year. And it's not necessarily to put Man United in there at the moment. Ironically, Manchester United were the one team who performed really well at Brentford last season. And I'd rather not be boring with my picks, you know what I mean? I'd just tip the favourite all the time. Now, there you go. There's my tip for the week. Brentford to beat Man United. Most people will think that isn't the tip. Regular says, yo, can you give short comments for your fixture result predictions for this game week? Displayed top left on screen. Good luck, everyone. Yeah, I think Villa are better than Everton, but a little bit of wobble in terms of confidence at the moment off the field. I think Everton potentially can score. Leicester, we've heard rumours that possibly Fofana doesn't start. I'd have fancied Arsenal for a clean sheet anyway. They're in a really good kind of mental state at the moment, Arsenal. Brighton to edge Newcastle is the most difficult one of all, I think. That could easily be 1-0 the other way. City 4-0, I think, doesn't need any explanation. I was really disappointed with Southampton last week. Leeds had a good result. I think there's pressure on Southampton today. I wouldn't be surprised if Leeds went there and won. But it's a tough call. I think Fulham impressed us last week. They're capable of getting something at Wolves. Brentford have spoken about. West Ham at Forest. Can't judge West Ham against Man City. I think Forest, as Mark Southern said, it might take them a little bit of time to bed in. I think West Ham will have to weather the storm early on in this game. And a lot will be about their distribution from the back, which Forest might shut off quite a bit. But I think West Ham have got the firepower to win that. Chelsea-Tottenham, draw. It's reasonable. Do I need to explain that further? And I think Palace will give Liverpool a tough game on Monday night, to be totally honest. I wouldn't even be surprised if Palace score first. There's a brief summary. If you want a more fuller summary, we did all of them in more detail on our Patreon podcast yesterday, and we will do them every Friday on our Patreon podcast. Ali Bismo says, any plans on when to wildcard James? Cheers for Chicago. Not really. Nah, I'm open-minded at the moment. Jeff Holt says, at which parts of the season do you consider it more important to have a stronger bench? When you're bench boosting. Once we get into European weeks, I mean, it's fair to say, isn't it? Once we get into Champions League weeks, there's the possibility for the likes of Perisic Perisic will definitely get on the pitch tomorrow, right? It's almost certain. But once we get into Champions League weeks and say Tottenham winning comfortably against Fulham and Perisic doesn't start, it might go, yeah, I'll switch Doherty to the left and I'll give Jed Spence 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So once we get into the European schedule, excuse me, Bobby96 says, hey James, bench 1, Gibbs White and Boomu Bailey. I'm going to say Gibbs White. Ragas says, like the stream guys, 400 plus watching, but so few likes. James' content and dedication deserves it, even if he's a Spurs fan. Can't change that, mate. But yeah, Ragav's got a point. Cheers, mate. Smash a like. Sam says, chance of Perisic starting. 15-20%. Jan Agma 77 says, hey, what's your thoughts on Sessegnon once midweek UCL starts? Feel like Perisic will play there with his experience. Might get Sesh next game. We can try to solve this puzzle every week. like I said, I'll talk about it more on Monday, mate. I don't have the answers to think about Wolves next week. Let's get through Chelsea first. And it probably is going to be a bit like that, making puzzles week to week is a fair comment, trying to work it out. I don't think we can even begin to answer what Champions League football would mean for Sessegnon and Perisic at the moment. Prabnor Singh says, hello James, who to bench among Neto, Bailey, Trippier? It's going to be a Bailey for me. No, it's not. It's going to be a Neto, sorry. I'm sure I've got... no, it's going to be Bailey. Fuck it. Bailey. Will Bill says, how far do you think Brighton can go this season? If Brighton hit it off as best as they can, 6th is possible. It's definitely possible. Just having a little check back for any potential Villa news. Why I do that? Prabnor says, hello James, who to bench. That's what we've done. FPL Good Boy 88. I have the same thing on Sessegnon. Best Spurs pick, 4.5 million only. Nothing extra on Villa at the moment. Bandido, good morning. How dare you go cash over Andreas? Have you seen Villa play? Have you seen Everton play? Peter Carroll, how many triple captains on Haaland? There'll probably be quite a few, actually. Ragaf wants to like guys again. Ricky Donahoe says, start Dean or Bailey. Thanks. Probably Dean. Dan Wheeler says, who would you drop out of Fred and McTominay to get Huddleston in the team? McTominay. Bandido says, which third City player would had like to bring into your team? De Bruyne. I thought about it a lot. It was a close call. Jonathan Foster went for the Leicester keeper double up to keep 0.5 in the bank. Turns out I needed it to go Haaland from Kane. Think it pays off over a 4.5 goalkeeper. Great stream as ever. Hope Harry is coping with heat. If you've gone the Leicester double up, you stick with it, I think, until at least after game week 3. You made that decision for a reason. It's fine. Haaland to Kane, I think, self-explanatory at the moment. Brian R says, sell Rashford for Foden. You've got, what, 1.5 million in the bank. Congratulations. Yes. Anton Phillips says, morning James, where can you check the price changes? On the website is one. You can go price changes this week, or FPL status on Twitter, I recommend. Anton Phillips says, morning James, that's what we've done. Tom Campbell, morning pal, have a great weekend. You too, mate. Nice to see you in here, buddy. Jay says, hi James, would you start both Bailey and Cash? Yeah, I don't hate that. Bench, Trippier, Andreas, also Trippier or Reece James. I feel like I've covered all of these, AJ, earlier in the stream. Yeah, it's fine to start both. Personally, I'd pick Trippier over Bailey. I'd pick Reece James over Trippier. Ash88 Gloss says, I think Spurs attack will be too fast for the Chelsea defence. Thiago looks like his hamstrings are about to go every time he has to chase back, but he is still one of the best centre-backs around. He is so clever. So clever. And he'll be up for that tomorrow. He played very well in all his performances against Tottenham last season. Lewis James says, morning James, been a while since I've managed to drop into a stream. Good luck this season. When do you play Newcastle away? Oh, it's not for ages. It's next year anyway. April, I want to say maybe. I might have that wrong. Syed says, does seeing how well players like Paulini and Caicedo took to the league make you even more puzzled by what's going on in the United midfield? Pereira doesn't solve... Oh, you didn't say Pereira, sorry. Paulini and Caicedo. But it's others, isn't it? Bissouma. Like, why weren't they in? There's other players. Maybe even Boubacar Kamara at Villa might have been one that there's a real anchor player. Might have solved the problem, was available on a free. There's loads. Yuri Tielemans sitting in front of their face. There's loads. Yes, it's very puzzling what's going on at Manchester United. Kate17 says, if you've done something, do it again. Some people join late. Yeah, I get that. It's also like, don't join late, right? Join on time. And also, a lot of these answers, like Bailey and stuff, it's on the screen. AK Cosmicon says, Bailey over Andreas. Love street. Check the bench and dilemma screen, my friend. As Joe Finney Badders saying, really quite tired. 6 points a week for 5 million works for me. That's fair, but it isn't going to be 6 points every week, is it? Side says, do you see Everton this season as the second coming of Burnley? If so, does that make Pickford attractive at 4.5? Nah, not at the moment. I ain't going to play football like Burnley, are they? Ryan Reid says, morning James, bearing in mind Conte's history of winning titles at previous clubs and his obvious ambition to do it again, what would he need to make this Spurs team title challengers? I said in January that Tottenham needed 14 new players. We've got 8. He needs another 6. Daniel says for long, because now what he needs in terms of the squad's better. Now he needs to make the first 11 better. Another 6. Okay, cheers, Gary Robinson. So apparently a potential update. This is important from David Ornstein. That Ollie Watkins starts. Leon Bailey on the bench. I'm going to see if I can get that potentially verified. But that's possible. Leon Bailey sub for Aston Villa, possibly. Gary, where have you got that from, mate? That's on a need to know. Because I haven't got it. But you're certainly someone I trust if he'd said that. So, Gary, can you verify that for me ASAP, please, mate? Where's that information? Ryan Reed says, morning, James. Bearing in mind Conte's history of winning titles. That's what we've done, sorry. Daniel, for long-term, Trippier and Arison or Rashford and Nico Williams? Trippier and Arison. Yeah, Gary, I've looked in there. I can't see it, mate. Where? Serm Aren says, transfer Perisic to Walker. Been over this with Walker. I'm not big on it, mate. Manchester United says, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, Mr. Perfect, $1 Million Man of the top 5, Demolition, best tag team. What about... Ooh, what a rush. FPL Dogboy88, done. Like the stream. Good luck, James. The musky voice. Cheers, mate. Keith Rowley, do you feel Haaland has to have an exceptional game to outscore Salah? Salah 1 goal potential equals a Haaland brace. That's not true, is it? So Salah can get 1 goal and return 7 points. And Haaland got, what, 13 with 2 last week? So it's not actually true, is it? He fancies Bournemouth. Really quite tired. Fancies £10 on Bournemouth. Yes, you are tired. Link, please. Gary Robinson. AR. Morning, James. Any overall advice for Sky FF this weekend? Yeah, watch the football and enjoy it, mate. Apparently David Ornstein has deleted the quote tweet now. Right, okay. Yeah, this is what I was concerned about, mate. So I don't know if anyone else saw that potential tweet of David Ornstein, but he's now potentially deleted it. So none the wiser on Leon Bailey. It does suggest there's probably a little bit more doubt about it. Yeah, so yeah, it's not David Ornstein, it's FPL Bruno playing a joke on everyone. Which, Gary, you should know better, my friend. So FPL Bruno, who's a little bit of a comedy in the Twitter community, and even warned people last night that he would do something like this, has said, we are hearing that Watkins and Buendia return to the lineup with Danny Ings and Leon Bailey dropping to the bench. That is a complete wind-up. It doesn't mean it's not true, but that is wind-up. So that is false information. FPL Hitman, morning, James. Hope you're doing well. Good luck for the game week. Cheers. Thank you. Reese Kemp, fancy Aronson for points this week? Yeah, why not? Tarek Shafi says, do you think Bailey will... I still think he'll start. Hani Sarag says, hello, James. Transferring Grealish for Rashford. Transferring Grealish for... Yeah, fine. FPL Mingo, play Dyer or Webster. I'd play Webster, mate. NK says, bench Cresswell, Bailey or James. Say Bailey. I'll go safe now. How did Diallo, Trossard or Alvarez? Trossard. Thomas Barker says, have Kane and Haaland up front and 4.5 million. Sell Kane to Jesus. What? That's so confusing. But yeah, fine. Jonathan Gordon says 7-0 City's more realistic. Fine. Che Ghost says FPL Planet. No, it's Planet FPL, mate, honestly. None of this adds FPL Planet shit. Your content is cold. Your voice delivery is 10 out of 10. You draw me in. There's defo big stuff loading for you. Cheers, mate. I don't think there is, but I appreciate it. Gary Robinson, you are forgiven, mate. I appreciate the attempt. Nostalgic Nepal says, I have Coutinho, Bailey and Arison. Which two should I start? First, capital letters ain't going to get your question answered any quicker. It's about 2 minutes to deadline, by the way, guys. Get yourselves locked in. Coutinho, Bailey, which two should... I'd start the Villa players. Bandido, are you targeting any Leeds midfield players? I'm keeping a watching brief at the moment. Greg Brennan says, Gundogan worth a shout over KDB so I can get Salah on wild card. If Gundogan continues to play, we played against West Ham is a great option, but we need more information. Thank you, Peter. Duff Roses, cheers. Goldblind, can you tell me I'm not crazy for going Salah cap over Haaland? You're not crazy. Ethnic says, yeah, got that. Cheers, Joe. Thank you. Jeff Holt, when watching the Grant and Phil Mitchell episode of Clash, I expected it to end with the EastEnders end of episode Dumby. If you want, tell me to shut it. I could have done that, actually. Greg Brennan, Gundogan worth a shout over KDB and get Salah. Done that once already, mate. Cheers. Thank you, Owen Walsh. Thank you, Ajay. Tanzid says Trippier or Andreas who'd start. Trippier for me. Amar says Harrison or Trossard. Oh, that's close. Harrison's underline was great last week. Slight preference for Harrison. Ruben Bloom. Hi, Neto or Walker. I mean, if you've got Kyle Walker, you play him, obviously. Jonathan Gordon, Captain Ramsdale. Yep, that's funny. Demsum, Trippier or Andreas on the bench in dilemmas. Trippier. Jay says Reece James, Bailey, Cash, Trippier, bench one. I'm going to say Bailey, mate. That's up to date on your questions. Time until deadline. I currently have about a minute to go, guys. You've probably seen that as 1 minute 24, but I'm aware there's probably about a 20-second delay between me speaking and it coming through to you. Daniel Ferguson's Mount to Foden. Again, I would stick with Mason Mount at the moment, personally. If anyone's got a real quick fire, I can get it done for you. Densum says thanks, got the thumbs up. Love it, guys. While you're waiting, smash a like, hit the subscribe button, all those things and jazz. Seconds till the deadline, guys. As you're seeing it read from me now, it's about 48 seconds, but it's probably a bit less than that. Make sure you're getting them teams locked in. Kloppite says, why this channel has got 200,000 plus subs is baffling. It has one of the best, if not the best, in-depth content out there. Keep up the great work, James, and good luck. Why has the channel not got 200,000 subs? I should have said baffling. Maybe one day, my friend. Joe Pickerel says, rather win the Prem or Champions League. I'd rather win the Prem or the Champions League. Premier League, mate. Tyler BM, Trippier or James. James, Lewis Hatton got 8.7 in Sky. Will sell Odegaard tomorrow. Okay. Ruben Bloom, sorry, didn't catch that. Walker, right? If you got Kyle Walker, you're not starting him, are you? Surely. George Nibbs, what do you think of my wildcard team? I'm not reading your wildcard team if you decide to tweet it in, mate. Or message it in. I'm not doing that. But I'm sure it's great, George. Daniel Ferguson, cheers, James. Have a good game week. Average Joe, do you ever plan on getting Salah, James? Love the channel, mate. Oh, I'm not against having Mo Salah. And if, you know, an injury happens to Son or something, then I'm probably forced into that. So, yeah, I'm not against having Mo Salah. I'm not like, oh, I'm not having Mo. I've made the decision to try and take him on for 6 weeks. That was the decision. Rob Pick says, hi mate, who do you think are the top 3 Chelsea assets to look for at Sky either from tomorrow or next Sunday? What's next Sunday? Leeds, Chelsea and Newcastle, Man City, isn't it? Timing bad for Christmas. I think Chelsea will become clearer because it could be like Fofana, for example, if he comes in, Cucurella. But that's more next week, I think. Rob, I think you'd agree with that. I want more information on Chelsea, definitely. But I, as I've always said from pre-season, I think the Leeds game was going to be the entry point. So I think even short term there, like a little punt on a Sterling for short term or something. Honestly, you go in, you get for the Leeds game, and then you sell after they play Southampton on that Tuesday. FPL Deadline has obviously been and gone, guys. If anyone's got any non-FPL questions, throw them in the chat. Happy to cover them off over the next 15 minutes or so. If people came just for the FPL, smash a like and disappear. Cheers. Love you all. See you next week. Same time next week. Content this week will be main podcast. Monday, me and Suj will be reviewing the 9 weekend games from Gameweek 2. Tuesday will be People's Poll. I need to decide on the topics, but it's likely to be related to 30 years of the Premier League, as it's the anniversary this coming week. So it'll be something like best Premier League team not to win the league. It's going to be something a bit more laid back, chilled, etc. Sky will be Wednesday. Thursday's Clash of the Correspondents is Newcastle versus Manchester City with Simon Bibby, FPL Bibbs, and Johnny Pringle, FPL Pringle. It will be the 1000th Planet FPL podcast. And on Friday, we will be celebrating reaching 1000 podcasts with a open Q&A where I don't want Bailey or Neto or Trippier. I want, what's your favourite ever Planet FPL moment? When did you laugh hardest? Did you actually cry tears of joy when Manchild says Isaac success? So yeah, I think that's 1,000 podcasts is quite an achievement. We should be quite proud of that. So yeah, we're gonna have a little open Q&A on Friday, which none of this FPL related shit, honestly. Drop it. No one's bothered. Yeah, we might do a little bit of FPL on it, I'm sure, as it's going to be a Friday podcast. That number, by the way, does not include the Patreon podcast. There's about another 500 of them. Patreon podcast, talking of which, next week from intermediate tier and above. Q&A Monday. Tuesday, Money in Football. Haven't decided on the topic yet. Wednesday will be Tottenham. Thursday's probably actually now going to be an Ask James stream. It's exclusive for patrons, and that'll be patrons at all tier levels, so include basic tier patrons as well. And Friday will be our Game Week 3 differential show preview. It's advanced tier content, 5 minutes added on, a new short audio feature for advanced tier patrons, and video content, daily news wrap-ups while this transfer window is going on every day for advanced tier patrons till the end of the month as well. Excuse me. Right, if you want to support Planet FPL on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Planet FPL. If you want to support our quest for content, give a little bit of thanks, join the Planet FPL community, which now has over 650 patrons. Sign up on Patreon. Any questions, DM me, happy to discuss. Right, let's do some non-FPL stuff. AJ says, thank you, James. You're very welcome. Bets1604 says, World Cup top scorer, James. Harry Kane, mate, it's coming home. Zugi says, locked in. Ash88 Gloss says, thanks. Deanne says, got hung up on something else, just popped in the chat. Free hit panic is real. Swing for the fences, right? Lots of love to you and the fan, mate. I wish you luck, brother. Joe Pickerel, going Qatar, James. No, I'm not going to Qatar, mate. Ray Qureshi says, hey, James, your all-time Premier League 11. I'm not doing that. Just told you it might be on a podcast. This is not something you can do you can do it off the top of your head, but it's more a proper conversation, isn't it? Voyas says, are you never going to own Salah this season, James? No, I've answered that already. I'm sure I probably will. Jonathan Gordon says, heroes or celebrations? Good question. Oh, it's tough. Can I say both? Heroes or celebrations? I'm going to say celebrations, I think. Divish has ended up benching James and decided to play Bailey and Neto. Wish me luck. Good luck. Top Tim says, for next week, do I keep Edison? No, we're not doing FPL now, mate. Sorry. Just enjoy your week. Honestly, Tim. No more FPL. Thank you, mate. Asfar says, Serie A Fantasy allows 2 players per team. If FPL had the same rule, would it make FPL more interesting or boring? Oh, I love that. Love that. The only things you might actually... It sounds weird, but it might even be even more template. In the sense of... things like Robertson versus Diaz, for example, wouldn't even be a discussion, right? For most people, just be Salah and Trent all season, wouldn't it? So I'm not sure that it would actually help in all cases, but of course, it would force you to look at a little bit more variety and look outside the top 5, for example, which the game doesn't force at the moment. Patrick Lawson says, best Premier League transfer this week, in your opinion? Who's bought who this week? I'm going to say Onana could be a really big deal for Everton. I don't know enough about him. I know I keep saying I need to research him and I haven't had time. But that might prove to be a real difference maker for them. So that said, Everton don't normally get their transfer business right, do they? But I'm going to say I'm going to do Onana at the moment. One to watch. Elron Cupboard says, have you seen any of the classic Japanese wrestling from the 90s? Check out Misawa versus Kawada and Misawa versus Kobashi, if not. My friend, I'm not like a wrestling expert or anything, mate. I'm sure I probably would enjoy these things, but I don't actually have time to watch anything on TV anymore. FPL Hitman says, any thoughts on Qatar prepping the start of the World Cup by a day? You mean obviously bringing it forward a day. Not surprising. They didn't want to be the 10 a.m. UK time slot for the first game because it would be daytime and they couldn't do their great firework display and whatever they're planning. So they wanted what would be a nighttime kickoff their time. So I think that'll be 6 o'clock local time, I think. It'll be, because it's their winter, it'll be dark. so they can do their firework display and that's what they've obviously gone for, bringing it forward to the Sunday. Interestingly, it also does clash with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I think the idea, once it was kind of clocked on that obviously it's going to be Ecuador, it was easier to move the fixture. Like, for example, if they were playing England would have been like, you can't do that, I think. Whereas Ecuador, it's also the prestige of being the first game and stuff is good for them as a nation as well. So that's fine. It's fine. I don't really want these 10 a.m. games anyway. That's handy for me not to have one on the Monday, because it's a day of content that becomes easier for me with no 10 a.m. World Cup kickoff. So I'm absolutely fine with it. Divesh says, do you think a general strategy of getting players from top 5 teams is okay, or should we look for value players from teams lower down the league table? That's going to come. We have spoken about obviously this kind of pretenders switch around 7-8, but at the moment you can just fill your team with a top 5. In terms of like it being a strategy, it's normal. Michael Ward says, have Forest gone over the top with their transfer strategy? They might have. I don't think we can say for sure yet. Mr. Anderson says, not FPL related, who do you prefer to have, Gundogan or Silva playing next to KDB in the middle? I mean, Bernardo Silva for me, but Bernardo Silva will generally play a deeper role. Gundogan is more advanced in terms of running off the ball and stuff. So again, it's stylistically there's a difference. In terms of football, I love Bernardo Silva. So Bernardo Silva would be my choice. Owen Walsh says, James, does the B team in Sky affect strategy? Not sure I quite follow the question, mate. I mean, there's loads of different ways to play it. I've done a 1 player per team. See how it gets on. It's had a bad start, by the way, I should say. What's next? Addy Tor says, hi, James. Do you know how Ballon d'Or nominations work, as Kira Walsh not getting a nomination is baffling? Yeah, like, I couldn't believe that last night. I had to tweet it. And I don't like tweeting shit anymore, to be honest. But I saw that and I was like, someone's got to be on a wind-up. I literally looked... I read through the list 3 or 4 times because I couldn't believe that she wasn't there. So, no, I don't know. And the only thing I've got to say is fuck them. Meninda Priyar says, thoughts on Thiago. It's like a popularity contest now anyway, isn't it? You'd have hoped that the Women's Award wouldn't have been like that, but there you go. Meninda says, thoughts on Thiago to Jorginho in Sky. Also, what's your opinion on Son over Kane in that format now man the match has gone? Yeah, slight preference for Sonny over Harry, but that can switch at any time. Shot volume is obviously particularly important for Harry. You need to keep an eye on that. Thiago to Jorginho, it seems reasonable, particularly with Kovacic out at the moment, but I don't think that's long term. But yeah, he's okay if it feels a problem for you. Nathaniel Chapman says, if you were a toe, which toe would you be? I love that, mate. I'd never heard that before. Which toe would I be? I'd probably be the little toe, wouldn't I? I guess. Yeah, I'm going to have to say that. No, I'd be the little toe, I suppose. Abolish Mondays. Hi, James. Congrats for your content. Your favourite for World Cup, except England, of course. I mean, I wouldn't make England favourites anyway. So, France, Brazil. I think top 2. I think Argentina worth keeping a real eye on, actually. I think France, Brazil, top 2 for me, I think. Spain, Germany are going to obviously be about. I don't think the pool as likely winners is going to be as big as it was 4 years ago, actually. So, I think France, Brazil, potentially. I don't think that's not tearing up the... I'm pretty sure they're the top 2 in the betting markets. I don't think I'm tearing up the room saying that. Phil McMahon says, how long do you reckon until we see representatives ranks in Sky, given the 10 more transfers this season? May take a while longer. Representative ranks, so you mean like when does it begin to sell? International break is probably the first time you should probably be taking serious consideration of it, I'd say. Cyrus Bernard says, what's your random out there prediction for the season? I did this because I tweeted it, asked for everybody's random out there predictions last week. Mine was Maurizio Pochettino to be Chelsea manager before the end of the season. Alistair Hargreaves says, AJ versus Usyk, who wins? Usyk, mate. Judging by the first fight. Unless AJ really, really manages to change it up, he'll get beat again. Tom Sleeman says, what 6 players do Spurs need to sign in order to win the league? We need another wide attacking player. We need, I think, still another right wing back, as in top level. We're talking about winning the league now, top level. We need a creative player. We need another central midfield player. We need cover / first choice at left-sided centre-back and central centre-back. There you go. There's 6 for you. Ragav says, views on Wesley Fofana. Well, there's some rumours that he won't be playing for Leicester today. And if so, I think we can assume that he probably will be joining Chelsea. Super talent. Great player. Is he quite worth the money at this stage that Chelsea are likely to be paying? It's possibly a bit over the top, but you get what you pay for, and Chelsea look like they're prepared to potentially go over the top. But yeah, I think he's got all the tools to be an absolutely elite centre-back. John Lauder says, first Premier League manager to get sacked. Sounds for the content, James. You're very welcome. If Southampton lose today, I think Ralph Hasenhüttl, looking at the fixtures coming up, is in real trouble. Joe Finney-Ballard says, what would be a bigger shock? United beating Brentford or Spurs beating Chelsea? Well, that's an interesting question. I think for most people it would be Brentford beating Manchester United. I mean, for me it would be Tottenham beating Chelsea. I'm pretty sure on the odds that Brentford will be a shorter price than Tottenham, actually. I would think. I might have that wrong. George says, 30 years of Prem pod suggestion. First 15 years best 11 versus last 15 years best 11. It's probably going to be too long to fit in a tweet so people understand what it is, but there's a cool little idea. I can say with certainty, by the way, that the modern 11 would win. As an overall, just better fitness and everything. Better fitness, better technique, better sports science stuff. A modern 11 would beat a first 15 years 11, even though on paper that first 15 years I think would potentially possibly look better. The standard of the game's changed. Marzook says, Sancho in my team, suggestions. Deadline's gone, mate. There's my suggestion. All Stars Club, have you ever seen Messi play live? Yes, I literally said it on this stream. Blessed a couple of times. I was at the Camp Nou when we drew 1-1. He was only a substitute, but obviously he played against us at Wembley when they beat us 4-2, and he was man of the match by miles. He's the best football player I've ever seen, be it live on TV, be it anywhere, and I think it will take something absolutely astonishing for that opinion to change in the future. Owen Walsh says, just mean I don't generally hear people talk about their B team. Do most just mess about with it? I wouldn't like to say what most do. I guess probably most do mess about with it, take more differential punts and stuff, if you will. Some will have strategic ideas. Some literally do the two teams together. So when you get to the end, you can kind of differentiate and take two different paths. You'll see that. Someone at some stage will be like in the top 20 and they'll have both their teams there. So there's loads of different ways to skin it. Will Bill says, happy birthday, Lucas Moura. Any excuse to bring up Amsterdam? Yes, Bill. Alexandre Pickering, Jimmy, great work. What's your favourite ghost? Mine is Rod Hole and Emu. Favourite ghost, it's got to be Slimer, isn't it? Whoop de Whoop says, no Salah is like signing a death warrant. Lol. Welcome to Planet FPL stream. This is not the one for you, my friend. Thanks very much, guys. We'll leave it there. Have a great weekend. Remember, play it your way. If you know your wildcard in Game Week 3, activate it tonight before the transfers and stuff. I wish you all the very best of luck. Me and Suj will be back on Monday. Be nice to each other. Good luck, everyone. Ciao for now.